Just waiting, just waiting. And last. Well, good evening. How the devil are you? I'm really good. What a fantastic day I'm having. Okay, so here we are. It's Turf Talk Tuesday. Let me read the numbers to you. Good morning, Lola Moth. Hello, Turf Queen, says Ella. Hi from Leeds. Hello, lovely. Hello, Kellie-Jay. The band united. What would I do without you? Probably struggle. So let's tell you where you can call from. The number, if you're in the United States of America, is 0877 or 0877 729 1771. I don't think you Americans do that, do you? So it's 08777 291 771. If you're in Canada, it's 0800 058 4204. If you're, sorry, I don't even know what I'm doing. If you're in the UK, it's 0800 058 4204. Canada, it's 888 835 6088. I'm all out of sorts. I can't even read numbers. Such is my exciting life. Australia Freephone, it's 1800 959 819. And you can call that again in the morning, you lucky people. I'll be here at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning, just taking New Zealand and Australian calls. If you're in New Zealand, it's 800 441 607. And the rest of you lovely people, it's country code 44204 515 2251. I don't think Bailey's counts as an actual drink, does it? It's like a milkshake. It's like a funny milkshake. So where are we tonight? We are from Scotland, Lincoln, Bristol, Montana, Wrexham. Morena from Ontario, New Zealand, Scotland. Evening, KJ Cave, all the way from Bath. Good evening. Highlands, from the Highlands. Lola Moth is down in Australia. Illinois, Quincy, Florida. Lexington, Massachusetts, California, Somerset. All right, love. Albion. Anta Marie from New Zealand. Waves to everyone in Turf. Morning, Posie. Good morning, Rex Landy. Devon, Essex, Louisiana, Bognor Regis, County Durham. The phone line is open right now. Warm in Devon. Seriously, it's freezing. Adult milkshake, doll. That's true. Highlands, Selkie Seal. See you there. See you there. Yeah, we are going to make a film of this tour, by the way. Cheshire, Wiltshire. Oh, I wonder where you are, deepest, darkest Wiltshire. Santa always has Baileys and after eights in my house. Lucky Santa. My kids are too old now. Just looking at this terrible hair. Good evening. You are the first caller through to Turf Talk Tuesday. My name is Kellie-Jay. You can say who you are. You don't have to. What would you like to say? Hello. Oh, I've got you on mute. One moment. Hang on. I can hear you. I'm so sorry.
Hi, how you doing? Yeah, I'm calling from Wrexham here. But I just wanted to have a quick call in about one post-it gate that I had at work where I got pulled in for having one of your post-its.
Is that you?
Or a pack of your post-its.
I'm so sorry. Well, I'm not at all. But
No. Which is kind of quite hilarious. I had been kind of dobbed in before for being gender phobic, apparently. But one good thing that came out of it was my manager actually said she went away and had a good read up. And although she couldn't say it, I think she's on side.
wow.
So hopefully I've changed her mind. Or not changed her mind. She's looked into things. But what got me thinking was, for where I work, NHS, I thought, could I be then offended? Because apparently the post-its could be offensive, obviously. Um, could I then say, if I see a rainbow lanyard, say, I'm really offended by that, take it off?
Well, I do tell people when I go to the NHS that I find the rainbow stuff offensive.
You do?
Yes, I do.
Good.
I say it very nicely and kindly, but I say, do you know that for some women, that is a sign of the decimation of women's rights?
Yeah. Oh, brilliant. But I just wanted to call in because I just haven't called in for a while, and haven't been able to get through. But another thing was where I work. There's some loos in the main hospital, just general public loos, and I did a woman sticker in there at some point, which got taken off. But I put one of the single sex stickers up, one of your blue ones.
Yeah, one of my blue ones at the NHS wrote to me and told me it stopped selling immediately. One of those.
It's still there 3 months later.
Oh.
It's there, plain as day. Not on the outside of the door, but it's on the inside of the door. And I go and check periodically and have a giggle and go, it's still there. So small wins. Small wins. But I'm still not giving up and not talking about it. I've got to keep talking about it. And I've got one of your Let Women Speak wonderful hoodies, which is a bit out there, rocked up somewhere, and managed to have 2 really good conversations with women. One working in a domestic abuse charity, and another who'd worked for Women's Aid for nigh on 30 years. Both were very, very interested, and yeah, they're totally on board. And I just thought, we are out there. It's just common sense. So that's all I wanted to say. I don't want to take too much time, but yeah, thank you very much for letting me speak.
Well, no, and thank you for, it's these tiny acts and massive acts with the Let Women Speak hoodie that really does help change everybody's mind. So thank you so much.
No,
cheers.
Thank you.
Cheers,
Take
lovely.
care.
Bye.
Bye.
Hello, good evening. You're through to Tough Talk Tuesday. My name is Kellie-Jay. You can say who you are. You don't have to, but what would you like to say?
Hi, Kelly. How are you today?
I'm very good. How are you?
I've watched a lot of your videos. I've been following you for a couple of years, and I've really encouraged your efforts in promoting biological womanhood. Obviously, I'm an American. I didn't know you did live streams. I would have called you a lot sooner.
Well, and now here you are.
Yeah. So thank you for having that and making it toll free. There was a video I saw, and I hope to shed some light on the situation that all of the West is in right now, because I think there's a little bit of a disconnect in the thinking. Now, I know you made that video, I'm not a feminist. Was that tongue in cheek, or do you legitimately not consider yourself a feminist?
I'm not a feminist, no.
Okay, because in another video you made about Matt Walsh when he went on Dr. Phil, which I really agreed with most of what you said there, you made the statement that what you want and sort of what you decry is that women are not at the front of this and that men are at the front of confronting the predators. In my view, they're predators. And why is it that women can't be in the front and men should stand behind their women? And I think what you're not understanding is, and I say this respectfully, the whole reason we're finding ourselves in the situation that we're in is because whether you're feminist or not, that ideology has taught my entire generation to do exactly that, to stand behind women, to not stand in front of them, to not do our biological male duty of protecting you, because the reality is you can't fight the predators. You can't be on the front lines. That's our job. And I wanted to know what your thoughts were about that.
Well, I have a really big issue with this. So I think about it often because I do think the academic feminism and gender studies and so on that was perpetuated by feminists, so-called feminists, not feminists that I would necessarily recognize, but people who identified as feminists, I would agree with you that there was a real push to pretend that there was no difference between the biological sexes and that men's role in society was goodness knows what, because they just keep telling men what they can't be, not what they should be, right? So exactly. I totally get that. However, in my lifetime, in the United Kingdom in 1992. So in 1974, the year I was born, that's the first time women could actually have property after divorce. And in 1992, that's when women could actually accuse their husbands of rape in marriage, right? So I think there is also a disconnect between the way real people live and the way academics speak about the way people live. And I don't see.
Well, yeah, because they're not real people.
Well, look, I don't see working class men, and in your country, you know, when I think of a working class man, I might conjure up a certain sort of man. I don't see those men necessarily standing behind women and not behaving in any which way that they might choose.
Can you clarify what you mean by that? I might not have understood what you meant.
Okay, so most of my family in here in the UK are working class. I can definitely tell you those men, those grown men, are not standing meekly behind women.
Okay.
So I just wonder, who are we talking about?
Well, is that what you want, though? Or do you want us confronting the predators? Because if that's the case, and I meant to ask you about this as well, you clearly support women-only. I don't have a problem with it, just so you know. You clearly support women-only spaces, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
You support male-only spaces.
100%.
I didn't know whether you did or not. So I don't want to imply something that you don't necessarily support. So this would not be necessarily, and I will get back to, you know, what you brought up, but this isn't necessarily directed at you, but part of this feminist agenda has been to deprive us of our own spaces. Okay. And now the rest of womankind is waking up and going, wait, what's going on to our spaces? How come our, female only spaces aren't being respected and acknowledged? It's because ours were taken away. And it's kind of like with the black thing, like they want their own media, they want BET, they want their own dorms on college campuses like Berkeley, but they also want to come to all of our spaces and we're not allowed to have any. Okay. So do you feel that, I'll just finish this real quick. Do you feel that the women, and there are some legitimate examples of dispossession you've talked about that have happened in the past, do you feel that women are doing a good job with the newfound power and rights that they have? And especially, do you feel that they are doing a good job of protecting other women with those powers?
Oh, gosh. Right. Do I think women are doing a good job of protecting other women? Absolutely not. I think there's a good crop of women who are quite happy to give up all of our rights. Let me tell you why I think you're wrong. And I'm going to be very nice about it. But we were set up in a society in which men had all the power, and they had all the power and all the secret conversations. And those conversations were taking place in male-only spaces. So not somewhere that had to keep women out. Like there's no real reason that, I don't know, a golf club can't have days where women are allowed in. And it's all about the corridors of power. And so in order to try and get some semblance of equality for women, so we had voices in those corridors of power, we had to deconstruct some of the male-only spaces. And that's just to afford women the right to actually speak in those spaces so that we had access to the same sort of conversations and therefore the same power and influence. It is not the same as a man entering into a woman-only space, like a place where a woman is undressing. If what women wanted to do 20...
About undressing.
One moment.
Say it's not about undressing.
Right.
Okay. But say it's not about undressing.
But those men are using women's spaces to be validated as part of a fetish. Women were trying to access certain male spaces, and I think I agree with you. I think it went too far. I don't think there's anything wrong with men keeping some male-only spaces just for themselves, and women can have something that sort of is mirrored or reflected, or, you know, if men want a men-only golf club, then women can have a women-only golf club, right? I don't really understand.
I agree with that.
So, but what we're talking about is women carving out spaces for themselves that aren't appropriate for men to be in, and men don't want to be in, because men still have the Masons, for example, in the UK. So women have got the WI. Well, now men want in on the WI. And there's no secret handshake
now it goes both ways, right? It goes both ways now, right? It has to go both ways, and that's why the whole thing's being destroyed, because they don't want any of us to have privacy. That's kind of where it's not necessarily. Can I respond, or did you want to finish your point? I mean,
well, I just want to say that I think what happens when a group in society feels that they need a semblance of equality. And as I've described, women did not have equality. We had no property after divorce. We had no rights to not be sexually assaulted in our marriages and so on. And I guess men the same, right? They have no right not to be sexually assaulted in their marriage. But
nowadays, yeah. Nowadays, definitely.
Or just ignored. So I think that maybe there has been an overcorrection, but I totally understand why, in order for women to be seen as equal, they decided to dismantle some of the structures in which they felt were obstacles in their way of equality. Maybe that's an invitation to this backlash, because after all, it seems that a certain group of men don't want women to have equality, and now it's all crumbling around us.
Well, and I 100% agree with the, I'll just make my closing statement here and let you get on to the next call, but I 100% agree with the proposition that women both need and deserve spaces to congregate amongst themselves, whether that's for recreational purposes, whether that's for privacy purposes. I think both should have the opportunity to exist. But I will pose this question to you that I want to leave just for everybody to think about, and I'll probably call again sometime, we can talk again. But my question is, why was it that it sort of naturally fell to men that men did have all the power? Should women have equality in every single realm? Is it good for women to have equality in every single realm, especially considering the way we're seeing how they treat each other, especially considering the way we've seen how Twitter, which was excessively female dominated, completely ignored or even enabled child pornography to take place on their website? Do you think maybe there's a reason why men should have more power than women in certain situations, for the simple reason that when it comes to defending the population, we are the ones who have to go out and die, and that's not something we would ask for you to do.
Yeah.
So there has to be some kind of compensation for that, and I just wanted to leave that as an open question.
Okay, well, thank you so much for that open question. I'm now going to answer it.
No.
I'm just going to say to you that both the enemy and the protector are men. So the enemy to the you cause the most violence, and maybe you're the only people that can actually stand up against it because you're men, and therefore you understand the nature of that violence better than women do.
And that's why we have to stand in front of you and not behind you.
You can stand behind and just have a long reach. But thank you so much
Well, I
for your
can't
call.
throw a rock. Okay.
Thank you so much for your call. It was an absolute delight and entertaining, and do call again. Thank you so much.
I will. Thank you. You too. Have a good night.
Cheers. Good night.
All right. Cheers.
Oh, that tested the old boundaries. I do think there is a conversation. I genuinely would. I mean, maybe a public conversation isn't necessarily the right thing to do, but I am interested in, when we decided to change society, did we do it in a way that was feasible? Hello, good evening. This is TERF Talk Tuesday. My name is Kellie-Jay. You are through to TERF Talk. You can say who you are. You don't have to. What would you like to say?
Hi, Kelly. It's Leslie Farrington.
Oh, hello, Leslie Farrington. Have you recorded a book? Have you recorded your book yet?
Have I what?
Have you recorded it? I see you reading
No, the phone
aloud.
Yeah. I was just thinking to say, really, I think that man just shows why we need to keep the buggers behind us at all times, really. Christ.
Go on, what are your thoughts on what he asked?
I mean, I've not been led by someone who... I've not been led by any man, and I've not been on the front row. I mean, I was in child protection for 20-odd years. I was fetched up some, like...
Oh, Leslie, you're really breaking up. You're really...
Sorry.
Try and get somewhere else, and we'll hang on a sec.
Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Anything.
No, you're cutting in and out. Do you want to call back when you've got a better reception?
Hold on, I'll just open the front door, see if I can get a better... Is that better?
Yes.
Right. I was saying, the man just then, he just demonstrated why we have to keep the buggers behind us at all times, really, because we certainly don't want them at the front. And as for protection of other women and children, I was 20 years in child protection, and I stood up, to some very big, bulky, dangerous men in my time. And okay, sometimes with the police, but most of the time not.
Yeah.
And, women learn how to handle situations, and I've had, I managed a team, and I've had men calling me up saying, you've got this bouncer threatening me, blah, 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 blah. And I've gone out and I've just simply said, look, either we do this the hard way or the easy way, and I'm not bothered really which way you want, but you can cooperate with us, or I can come back with a few policemen in tow. But really, I'm not bothered. But I don't think that getting arrested is going to help your career in being a bouncer. And just back down really, and having men there because they're bigger than us doesn't always work. Sometimes men are in, the impeders really, and they get.
Well, look, I'm a fiercely heterosexual woman who has never really been out with anyone under 6 foot, and there is something about like a really physically strong man that I'm quite attracted to, and I think a lot of women are. But it's, as my very wise friend Brian says, it's all about power, but not using it. It's about having the power to protect and but not using it. So, I think that man was onto something. I just think he just got to the train station. He'd driven all the way through, because there probably is something to the fact that that men aren't feeling like they want to protect women. God knows why that is. I think it's men's fault, not ours. So there's probably something in it.
They only want to protect certain type of women in certain types of situations. So that is the problem, really.
Yeah, that's true.
And there are some really good men. I'm not saying that. I mean, I'm divorced now, but I'd say my ex-husband was a good man. He was a very selfish one, but he was basically a good man. My brother-in-law and my brother, they're brilliant men. They're lovely men.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, a lot of men I've come across, if it's anything to do with women or children or everything to do with that, they'll keep out of it. They'll, like it's something icky, and I don't want anything to do with that.
No.
They'll go and fight another bloke. Well, my brother wouldn't, but you know what I mean? They stand up to another bloke if they would be nasty to their wives or whatever.
Yeah.
But a lot of the time they want to avoid these kind of what they see as a kind of icky emotional issues, and they don't like that kind of thing.
Well, look, I'll tell you what, Leslie, I'm quite happy leading and not requiring any man to become the boss of me in any way, shape or form. I have a partnership for a husband. I don't have a boss. I'm certainly not going to get one at 48. I've managed this far without one. So thank you so much for your call. Really nice to talk to you, Leslie.
Take care.
And you. Bye. Hello, good evening. This is TERF Talk Tuesday. You are through to Kellie-Jay. You can say who you are. You don't have to. What would you like to say? Good morning. Hello.
Oh, hello. Am I on the air?
You are.
Oh, my goodness. Hello. Well, first of all, I just want to thank you for helping me so much, you and the community. I was in a deep depression for about 6 months after finding out what's really going on in California. I'm calling from California. My name is Elise.
Good morning.
And finding you and the community has helped me tremendously, and I'm slowly getting the courage to speak again and speak out. As a writer, I have been shut down in California. This is like the epicenter of hell on earth with all the insanity going on. I wanted to share something with you that I thought was pretty interesting. You might already be aware of this.
Okay, go for it.
I met someone recently in San Diego, a man who identifies as a woman.
Mm-hmm.
And we had a long conversation. It was at a business, at a restaurant. And he told me that he was going to fully transition to be a woman.
Mm-hmm.
And he was able to get his insurance to cover it because it's labeled as a mental disorder.
Yep.
That's the only way he could get it covered, because gender dysphoria is classified as a mental disorder.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was so interesting. That's how he he explained the surgeries that he was going to get. He's not going to get his, a vagina. But he is going, basically what he described was cosmetic surgery. He's
Yes.
going to get breast augmentation. He's going to have face contouring and
On
hair.
insurance.
Pardon me?
On insurance, face contouring on insurance.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. In California. So basically what he described was cosmetic surgery.
Yeah.
And this is how you become a woman. You get cosmetic surgery.
Mm.
And, I listened a lot and tried not to say too much because it was a business. I didn't, but it was a very interesting conversation. He basically said, I was talking about a lot of things. And he said, well, it's the one who yells the loudest that gets heard. And he told me he was going to go into law and he was going to, fight for equality and all this stuff. And it was very interesting learning that. And that's what's happening in California. But we're not allowed to say it's a mental disorder in public, even though that is how it's classified. I found that so fascinating.
I mean, we don't have insurance over here. I mean, I do have health insurance because at the moment you have to go and queue at the doctor's to try and get an appointment where I am. But I'm curious, is it easy to claim on insurance for all sorts of things? Or do you think this is like a little bit of a sort of an unusual thing that you can claim for quite expensive surgeries on the basis of a so-called mental health condition that you can't call it? Are there other things that you can just easily demand on insurance?
Absolutely not. It took me 10 years to get a MRI for my shoulder. Everyone, this is the hot topic. People want to, and this person said that, I have people fighting for me, and no, it is. I mean, there are cancer patients who fight to get chemotherapy, and no, it is not easy. They do not hand out. The insurance companies use a lot of discretion. So, but this is, right now, if you just wake up in the morning and decide you're a woman, it's really interesting. If you're a white man in America, you're absolutely nothing.
Right.
You put on a dress and the red carpet is rolled out and opportunities arise and assistance comes and you have friends and you're liked. And I mean, it's an incredible incentive to put that dress on and suddenly change your identity. And
what do you think is driving that?
I know there.
Why do you think the insurance why do you think the insurance companies are paying out? Are they frightened of being sued?
In America, and especially California, that is the motivation for everything, to avoid a lawsuit. Right. And what this person was saying, and this person was very nice. We had a very nice conversation. They said that, they reiterated this. It's the loudest voice that gets heard. And that community, they know that. They know it's about being the loudest voice. And, right now, they get the victim award. Because in California, I'm learning that liberals really value victimhood overall. Like, that is really, if you're a victim, somebody will fight for you.
It's not like fighting against the odds, is it? Like, it's not like it's not like liking an underdog that works hard and is victorious, because we all want to cheer on an underdog, but this is something totally different, isn't it?
Completely different, yes. So I don't want to take up too much time. I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. Your American tour changed my life. All of the
Aw.
women that spoke, I just want you to know I don't have my voice fully back because in California, we live in fear.
Yeah.
It is a very terrifying, oppressive, communist environment. I want to put that word out there because if you really look at what's going on, it's freedom versus communism. I mean, it's absolutely terrifying. But you and my Moon sisters, I just want to thank you all for just helping me have courage. I'm fighting. I will join you on the front lines eventually. I'm still gaining my confidence, but we will get there and we will win.
We will. And we will come and change California. But thank you so much for calling and welcome to the fight.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. All right. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Okay.
Bye. Hello. Good evening. You are through to TERF Talk Tuesday. I think I lost you. You're going to have to call again. Good evening. This is TERF Talk Tuesday. My name is Kellie-Jay. You are through. You can say who you are. You don't have to. What would you like to say? Hello. Good evening. Brilliant. That was nice, wasn't it? Okay. Brilliant. Hello, good evening. You're through to TERF Talk Tuesday. My name is Kellie-Jay. You can say who you are. You don't have to. What would you like to say?
Hi, my name's Jenny. I've just paused the YouTube.
Hi there.
Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm. I can.
Well, want to say firstly, love you and thank you for standing up for women.
You're welcome.
I'm in the UK. Current situation is I'm sort of stuck at home because of a health condition.
Mm-hmm.
But I would be there in person to come to some other standings for women. I just want to know what I can do from home that would do more. I've started a YouTube. I've clicked through in a couple of things, but what else can I do?
Okay, so you can do things like you can write to MPs. You can fill out the many sort of surveys and petitions.
I've signed everything that comes my way and written a few letters.
Freedom of information about like your locality is always good, and you can join your local at standingforwomen.com. So you can join a local group to have a look at what specifically is happening in your area. That might be something that would be appropriate for you. So if the other people that you're in the group with maybe has less time at home, maybe you can be the person that finds out about your local police force or local schools or local council, so that you can have a really good idea for women that can do more sort of physical stuff, what they should be doing and where they should be doing it. So if you write to local at standingforwomen.com, you can join a local group and have local Zooms.
Well, I'm not that far from Leeds, so.
Oh, well, yes, I'm going to come to Leeds very soon. In fact, I might have a university reunion in Leeds very soon with women that I haven't seen for, 30 years, like 28 years or something. So I loved Leeds. But yeah, I would suggest that it's and because people have different skills, don't they? Some people, if you've got time at home to do things, there's a lot of people that don't have that sort of time that might be able to do other things. So I would suggest that if you it might take her some time because we do try and vet everyone just so we keep our members safe. But if you email local at standingforwomen.com, she should be able to direct you to the right group. And I'm pretty sure we have one in Leeds.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Is that good for you?
Yeah. And I just want to say, obviously, with the news from Scotland today, that big hugs, love to everyone in Scotland. And I'm not having it. I'm not, not standing for that. So whatever I can do.
Yeah, it's absolutely
Um,
ridiculous. But
yeah.
yeah, thank
I'm
you so
available
much.
for anyone's administration. Need me, 'cause I'm at
That's
home.
very kind. Thank you so much for calling, Jenny. Nice to talk to
Thank
you.
you.
Cheers.
Take
Bye-bye.
care.
Bye.
Bye.
Hello, good evening. This is TERF Talk Tuesday. You are through to Kellie-Jay. You can say who you are. You don't have to. What would you like to say?
Oh my God, am I really through?
You're really through. Hi.
Oh wow. You can call me Spooky. That's what a lot of people know me as.
Hi, Spooky.
Yes. I'm an American that has called Scotland home for just about 20 years, and you piqued me a few years ago, and unfortunately, I have to be anonymous. But one of the reasons I thought you might find quite interesting. As an American, I don't have my British citizenship yet. If I were to be arrested, I would be booted out of the country. So it puts me in a position where I can't risk essentially being public in any way.
No.
With my feelings towards these things. I can vote. I can do all the other wonderful things that, every other person in the UK can do. But I cannot say, a woman is a woman and a man cannot be a woman publicly. And yeah, that's just one of these interesting kind of things that I think there may be a lot of other women in my position from all over the world, that would desperately love to speak out, but fear repercussions in a different way.
Well, in a very real kind of end your life as you know it way. That's quite a big.
Yes.
That's quite a big risk.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, my whole family's here, and I don't exactly fancy leaving my husband and all of that stuff. But at the same time, I'm desperate to be doing more, like the previous caller said. I'm also disabled, but at the same time, I'm like, I'm on a mission to get to Glasgow. Like I might have to come dressed as a Black Panther to hide my identity, but I'm going to do everything in my power to get there.
Well, I'm sure it's still COVID restrictions. I'm sure for some people they can still be fearful of COVID, so you can certainly get away with a mask. But I do hope you make it to Glasgow. But I totally understand it's a very big risk, very real risk for you. Scary as hell.
And it's a risk too, even being outed by like these Antifa guys. So I mean, even on Twitter, I have to live in this kind of very careful what you say, what you do world. But I'm not going to stop fighting, and I am armed with stickers at all times. So
it's so deranged. I do you have moments, because I certainly have them all the time, where I just, like when I was in the States, and I remember I was right near the Statue of Liberty, and there was New Jersey opposite me, and it was beautiful, and I was like, oh, I'm in New York, I feel so great, and I'd had a really amazing couple of days, and then I just thought, I'm in the United States because I say that women don't have penises. I literally say that it's wrong to transition kids, and a woman is an adult human female. And on the back of that, I've just spent the last 4 weeks in the United States of America. I mean, do you have those pinch you moments?
Yeah, I do. I have this kind of, I mean, I don't know. It's weird being in America, and actually, Kellie-Jay, watching you in America was very surreal. I've not been back there in 15 years.
Really?
And it's a planet that I don't recognize. I mean, it may as well be Mars. I mean, and God, I don't know how to express, like, I felt like so proud of you in like a motherly way. I was like, oh yes, like you're doing this, and we need that so badly in America. So many of my American friends and family, they are just completely blinded by all this. They're on the be nice train, and I don't know how we can change that other than keep pushing and shouting. But
a few
It's a
years
very
before
strange.
a few years before this all happened, I remember thinking about the Bosnian War
Hmm.
and the sort of how it was like a stable country and then it wasn't. And I maybe I was just really ignorant and there'd always been sort of civil unrest or whatever, and I just didn't know about it. But as far as I was concerned, it was someone that you could go on holiday, and then the next minute it was a place that was war torn and divided
Yeah,
and terrible. And I just remember thinking that sort of thing could never happen here. We would never be fooled by something so,
I
anything that would be
know.
so divisive. And now here we
Hmm.
are with loads of the population pretending that they don't know what a woman is. It's insane.
It is insane, and it's funny you say about like standing there looking at New Jersey. New Jersey's my home, where I'm from
Oh, is it?
originally, and I lived in New York City, and I left shortly after 9/11, like not long after 9/11, a few years, because I thought things started changing, and
Yeah.
I could feel this like weird change happening, and I honestly I couldn't say, oh, I foresaw this. I just felt there was something very strange politically, or
Do you think that's
something was
because
happening.
actually that war, so obviously 9/11 was horrific, horrendous,
Yes,
awful. I know someone that died in 9/11, and it is,
I do as well. Yeah,
without question, just horrific.
yeah,
But the
yeah,
actions following it, I think
yeah.
lots of people knew were not necessarily justified or necessary.
Yeah, and that's when I started to think, I don't know if I want to be here anymore.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that I left. I mean, I'll always love my homeland. No offense to my fellow Americans.
Yeah.
It will always be a country I love, and always will be my home. But after what's happened to you today with Scotland, and then I'll let you go. I'm really questioning, like, God, did I pick the right place? I mean, what's happened in Scotland today is terrifying.
Nobody
And
could have predicted that 10 years ago. Nobody could have predicted that
no,
Scotland would be super woke. And I think the more countries like Scotland and Wales
Mhm.
go super woke, the more we understand that underpinning it is misogyny. Because I do think actually in England we are a little bit more genuinely progressive and liberal.
Yeah,
That's
I
why
agree.
we
Yeah.
know that's why I think it's happened in Scotland and Ireland
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
Wales, and even the United States. It's because actually
Yeah.
we've always been a bit more equal here.
Yeah. Well, we desperately need you guys right now, and we desperately need you, Kelly. When you get here, it's gonna rock everything that's happening here.
I'm
I
going to
think
get a
you're gonna.
tartan jumpsuit made. That's what I'm going to do.
Yes, brilliant. That's what we need. Yes.
So nice
I
to
think
talk
it's
to
gonna
you.
really make a huge change, and that's what we need. And I just thank you so much for everything you do. And I'll get going. And just everybody needs to keep fighting. And like I say, everyone not in Scotland, we need your support so badly right now. We need to stop this. So, yeah. Thank you so much, Kellie-Jay.
You're
Please
very
take
welcome.
care.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Yep. Bye-bye
Bye.
now.
Okay, I better do this super chat. €10. Posie, you're awesome. W Path, Trans Laws of Medicine, say in their guidelines, let me just do that, that there's no way to know if gender identity in children will remain fixed or change. They are covering their butts. They certainly are. I think that is a good sign, but, we'll still make them accountable. Good morning. This is Kellie-Jay. This is TERF Talk Tuesday. You are through. You can say who you are. You don't have to. What would you like to say?
Oh, Kellie-Jay, you've got TERF mail again.
Hi, you've got TERF mail. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Yeah, great. Thank you.
Good. I just wanted to quickly call in because you guys were talking about 9/11, and this has been on my mind so much lately. We've got this weird culture where when we're trying to talk about transitioning kids, when we're trying to talk about medicalizing kids, we want to drill down on what kind of trauma they have. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like the whole world has ignored the trauma that came out of September 11th, 2001. And that, like, not dealing with it has left us unable to deal with this. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, as in like the Western trauma, because obviously everywhere else in the world there's some pretty horrific things going on a daily basis. But
yeah. But I think that if you were 5 or 6 or 4 or 5, sometime in that age when September 11th happened, you were subjected to a brutal amount of trauma. And like working up from that age, we were all subjected to that trauma. And it was really damaging to the Western psyche. And I, once again, think that if you were any kind of a bad actor, you could just drill down into that and use that trauma to build out from. It was an occasion where people could scramble and take power with the vacuum that was left from that horror. Anyway, I've been thinking about it a lot lately, and I thought it was really interesting that it came up today. I just wanted to throw that into the conversation as we work forward from how we got here.
Well, now that I'm going to ask you a question then, looking at trauma and how we deal with things, how do you think the human psyche is going to cope with the lies that children have been subjected to for the last, say, 7 years in education, pretending that they can change sex? Do you think there will be long-term damage to the human psyche because it's been such a mass delusion?
I think when we combine it with the technological advances and the environmental stresses, I think that we're kind of probably going to end up where Stephen Hawking thought we would end up if we didn't destroy ourselves, which was in a society that had extremely genetically modified super people and then just your regular schmoes.
Oh, well,
I think
that's a hopeful
note. I know, it's so dark, isn't it? I know, I'm so much fun at parties.
God, it really is. We are there, though, aren't we? We are there.
We're drawing a line, and we're women with women bones and women hands and women blood. And maybe somehow, if we bring all our sisters on board, we will kick this to the ground.
Well, I damn well hope
but
so.
I think we really need to think about this long-term trauma that we just ignored. I remember on September 11th sitting with my friend and my husband and thinking, one day it'll be September 11th, 2021. What will that look like? And there was no way for me to predict that would be a time when men were saying they were women and women were having cosmetic double mastectomies. That was not what I thought would happen.
No. Although apparently,
here we are.
If we all read the Bible, then we would have been warned about this many, many times, or any sort of prophetic, religious, last days of Rome type apocalypse. Apparently,
it was almost a religious event in that way. I agree. It was a before and after.
I totally
feel
agree.
that way.
Yeah. I totally agree.
Yeah,
and actually, for your country, it's got to be so much worse. But my husband was at work. I was pregnant with our first baby. I saw that plane crash. Like the news broke, and it came through straight away. And I watched live that second plane. When I first heard of the news, they didn't know what it was. They didn't know that it was terrorists, or the news programs didn't. And so I watched it live, and it was. It was like something out of a movie. And I think in order to process something that enormous, that somebody could do something so destructive and kind of kill so many innocent people, I agree with you. It has to have left some sort of imprint on the American psyche, if not the rest of the world.
Yeah. And I also think sometimes I find very frustrating. I think what's the goal of this to separate Western society from what was lingeringly holding it on to the past? Was that I often think Osama bin Laden would be so thrilled with what's happened in America, with the girls making themselves unable to bear children and the boys making themselves unable to father children. To me, this may not have come out the way he wanted, but I think the goal to crack the stone, I think it was accomplished. But it doesn't have to be. I mean, part of therapy is you come to terms with what happened. I just wanted to talk about really remembering that as we talk to people about kids and kids being confused and kids having trauma. A bunch of young people that are right now calling themselves non-binary or fey-femmes or whatever they want to call themselves, those were children during an extraordinarily stressful time. And no wonder they're broken and acting weird.
Yeah, I think it's definitely worth thinking about. And thank you very, very much for calling in.
Okay. Well, I'll see you in Calgary.
You will indeed. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Michelle White with your super chat one time. Oh, I can hear myself. 179 Great British Pounds. Cambridge Dictionary redefined what a woman is. Yes, they did. And none of us are going to believe a damn word of anything that dictionary said. Makes me think we could have some fun with that. Anyway. Hello, good evening. You're through to Tough Talk Tuesday. My name is Kellie-Jay. You don't have to say who you are. What would you like to say?
Okay, this is E.G. Philbin again. How you doing?
I'm good, E.G. Philbin. How are you?
Not bad. I was just calling you. I was calling regards to the man who called earlier,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know his name, but I'm basically I'm kind of in agreement with him.
Oh.
I mean, I find these things difficult to say. I'm better in written communication than I am in spoken.
Mm-hmm.
But see, one of the things I thought of though is I think maybe one of the things you need to change is stop making the men always talk last. I think that's a little. I mean, it sort of makes them seem like doormats. And
Well,
I
no,
don't.
not really. It could be respectful.
Well, I
Respecting
don't
the
know
fact
if
that
that's
women
very
are being
respectful.
erased.
Well, yeah, but there's a difference. You can always mix it up and have, okay, we'll have 3 women, then 1 man. You don't have to make everybody wait till the end. I think that is not respectful. I really do.
Well, look, it's not your language, is it? That's being
No,
erased.
it isn't, but it's my society, and I have to live with the consequences too.
Yeah.
And the thing is, you're gonna need men, whether you like it or not.
I totally
do.
do. I don't know any man that's particularly bothered about waiting their turn.
Well, you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of there was a left-wing black nationalist group. I don't know if they're still around, and they had a white support committee. The white support committee did things like this. They always sat at the back of the room, and they always, spoke last, and always supported whatever the black people said. I don't, and we used to call them the doormats.
Right.
So it kind of reminds me of that nonsense.
But this is about creating space in which women can speak, because it's women's voices in the public in the public sphere that
and
is
I
being.
Understand how you've had to start out like
just
that.
one moment. I know you don't like waiting to speak, but just let me finish my sentence.
Okay.
So when it comes to creating space in which women can speak, I think it's absolutely right that women get to speak first, because often women don't get to speak at all. So I'm certainly not going to give up a second of time to prevent a woman from speaking in the public square when she can't speak at work. She sometimes can't speak at home. She can't speak to her friends. She might have a kid that's transitioning and she can't speak. I'm not saying that doesn't happen to men as well, but it's women that I hear from all the time, day in, day out. So I certainly don't think it's a bad thing to ask other people to respect the fact that this is women being erased, and therefore women will have the right to speak first.
Okay, I think that's a little rigid. I think
I am quite rigid though, because this is black and white for me.
Well, I think it's very rigid. I think that women having the right to speak more in this situation makes more sense than always making them speak first. There's nothing wrong with mixing it up, and I think.
Really,
I just
out of all the things you could phone in to say, you want to say that you don't think men should have to wait till the end? Do you really think
that's one thing?
Right,
that's one thing. It's
Let's
not the
go to
only
number
thing.
2.
Okay, let's just apropos of what I heard earlier from the man who called in, and talked about how men have felt don't you really feel like they should protect women now because of the changes that have happened. I think you really have to consider that. I mean, it's fine to start out the way you did. I understand why you did it. I absolutely understand why you wanted to do it that way.
What sort of men do you think don't want to protect women? Because I
don't know. I couldn't tell you. I honestly
do you think they
don't
ever
know
did?
what sort.
Do you think 50 years ago those
I
men
don't have
were
kids,
protecting
but
women?
I'm.
Do you think 50 years the men that now don't want to step up and protect women, who kind of feel that maybe they've been pushed aside and it's all very troublesome for them? Do you think 50 years ago they were protecting women?
That's a good question, because I think 50 years ago, if this kind of thing were going on, there would be more men out there, for certain.
I just think it's men doing it, and the men that are doing it on the back of watching copious amounts of pornography, which is a male-dominated industry, which makes men a lot of money, which men profit from, and women often get exploited. And men get exploited too, but it's men doing the exploiting. So I really do find it very difficult. And I understand that some men want to scapegoat this whole thing and put it on women, but it's men doing the bad behavior, even if it's women ushering it in.
Yes.
It's men doing the bad behavior.
Okay.
So
I agree on that. And I think another possible thing, you might want to figure out how to make an appeal to fathers.
Yeah.
Those
if
are
men
the
aren't
men you
standing up
need.
for their kids already, then look, I'm happy to work with anyone. I'm happy to talk to anyone. I really think this is a big crisis, but I do get a little bit what's the word? Impatient by this notion that men are too stupid or too selfish or too ignorant of what's going on to not understand what's happening to their kids. I just sort of think that is the role of a dad.
They're no more ignorant or selfish than women who don't step up either. They're no more ignorant or selfish.
Well, you're right. Well, actually, there's different motivators. So women do it in a wily, strategic, trying to be nice, deceitful, devious way, as far as I'm concerned. That's why a lot of women go along with it. Men just generally just don't even recognize or notice it's going on. They're neither cheerleading or otherwise. They're a bit apathetic to what's going on right under their noses. The sort of man that isn't involved. And even decent men will do that. But as for men going last, I love the idea that I love the idea that you thought that is something that is disrespectful, because I'm afraid I'm going to keep doing it. But thank you so much for your call. It was really nice to talk to you again.
Oh, one more thing.
Go on.
How many trans rights activists does it take to change a light bulb?
I have no idea. Do tell.
That's not funny. You know who that used to be said about?
Go on, feminists?
Radical feminists.
Yeah, I knew that was coming. E.G. Philbin, it's been fun. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you. And keep doing what you're doing. Keep fighting. We'll have some disagreements. That's fine. I'll still show up.
I look forward to it. Thanks a lot.
All right. Look forward to seeing you again in California one day.
Me too. Cheers. Bye.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye. Oh, it is a night for men. I am so polite. Thanks. Look, I don't agree with these men. However, I think we do have to start answering the question, what do we want of men? What do we want men to be like? I mean, I quite like masculine, not particularly emotional, masculine, stoic men, but then I'm quite a forthright, stoic woman. I don't spend a lot of time thinking I can't do stuff. I'm very much like, if I want it, I will have it. If I want to get somewhere, I will get there. I'm quite a determined woman, probably a little bit arrogant, because I think I can do anything. And that's what I expect from a male. Hello, good evening. You are through to TERF Talk Tuesday. My name is Kellie-Jay. You don't have to say who you are. You can if you want. What would you like to say?
My name is Ian. I'm from the UK. I'm from Felton.
Hi, Ian from Felton. How are you?
Fine. I've been following you for a while, but I'm really from the radical left of politics.
Are you?
And I'm getting a little tired of the trans activists being tied to the left. And they're not. They're liberals. They're a bunch of trendy liberals who don't know what working is. They don't know what it is to work in a factory, to be in a dole queue, be on strike, to fight to keep a roof over your head.
So why do you think they're, and I'm guessing we don't mean sort of classically liberal, because they don't seem particularly liberal. They seem quite authoritarian, which is maybe why people are attributing them to the left. But why do you think, what do you think it is about the left that would be most unwelcoming to the way they behave?
Well, I mean, the left is all about struggle against oppression. And these people are a bunch of oppressors. They're a minority group trying to force their view on a majority.
Yeah.
Now, that's anything but left.
So why, So why are the so-called left? Why are they promoting them? Like, why is it all over the Guardian? Why is it in sort of
you've hit the nail on the head, Kelly. The so-called left,
right?
The liberals, the people who go on about how hard what their life is when they're actually privileged and running everything.
Right.
And they've been to the private schools and they've been to university, and mummy and daddy's been bankrolling them, and they call themselves oppressed. And they got the airwaves to themselves.
Yeah. Are you surprised that are you surprised that how the left has turned out? And you and I probably have different ideas about the left. I always thought the Labour Party was on the left. I had no idea that it was something completely different. I didn't know that there was so much misogyny like awashed in trade unions, and all of these places seemed to be really, really sexist. So I was really shocked. So have you been surprised at how easily the left have been co-opted by so-called elitist liberals?
Actually, no, because I've been part of the left since I've been able to think. Right. And this has been a creeping, insidious takeover, a cultural appropriation of something they know nothing about. They don't know about fighting to keep a roof over your head. Right. They don't know nothing about it, Kelly.
No, well, I agree. I agree with that. I mean, I always think when people talk about men who wear women's clothes that they're sort of an oppressed minority. I just think nobody who genuinely feels oppressed would make themselves stick out like a sore thumb and ask and invite so-called oppression. Like, most people try and struggle their way out of it, right? They don't try and identify their way into it.
Well, the oppressed people try to keep in the shadows. They keep away from any kind of threat. These people just virtual signaling twats. They really are, Kelly. And they get right up my nose. I'm sorry to say that.
No, I think I absolutely agree with you. I couldn't have said it better myself. But thank you so much for calling. It was really nice to talk to you. Thank you so much. Hello, good evening. You are through to Tough Talk Tuesday. My name is Kellie-Jay. You can say who you are. You don't have to. What would you like to say?
Hey, Kellie-Jay. I called a couple weeks ago from New York. I was a little starstruck when I talked to you at first, but
hi.
I'm calling in. Hello. I'm calling in with a question because I've been getting my small acts of bravery up. I've ordered my stickers. I've put them up in a couple places. I have a little woman pin definition. So I feel like I'm feeling a little braver in my real life rather than just online spaces. And I wanted to ask your advice because I'm a teacher in a public school and I truly love the work that I do. I've been asked to join a committee that is has a really good heart to it. It's an anti-bullying campaign designed for the culture of a school. But I'm a little concerned that when the topics of girls' sports come up, or using different types of inclusive language, or going around ourselves with pronouns, I want to be able to carry myself professionally without engaging in the type of rhetoric that I think contributes to the subjugation of women and girls. So I was wondering, if I am asked my pronouns in a meeting, I was wondering what would be maybe the most professional way to respond, but also staying true to myself.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So I would, I don't mind being disliked. I'm not in a staff room. I'm not in a super woke thing. So let me try and get myself into your headspace. I think I would just say, if somebody said, what are your pronouns? I would just say, I don't subscribe to the notion of compelling other people's speech. And so I don't really want to tell you what language you can use for me.
Right.
That would be a better, like a free speechy thing would be a better thing than saying a woman is an adult human female, or of course I'm she, her, because I've got a female body. I think maybe if you just say, look, your speech is up to you. I wouldn't want to compel you. And if they push it, just say, it's a hard principle of mine that I will not compel people to speak about me and what language they can use.
I like that. Yeah, I like that. In New York, it's interesting. There's guidelines within the New York State Education Department that came out a few years back now, really encouraging schools not to talk to parents about children's gender identity. And I work with adolescents, and so they're online a lot. And I feel like I want to stay true to my principles and help the kids with their identity while also, really supporting the rights of women and girls. So again, thank you for all you do. I'm getting up my bravery and trying to do a little step at a time.
Yeah, I mean, look, also, if it's your first time in never doing anything like this, I would keep it just so that you've made a stand, but you're not going to have those conversations, because as soon as you enter into these conversations, I think it's going to be really tricky for you. And I'm all for speaking the truth whenever we can and being as brave as possible. But I imagine you also want to pay your bills.
That's true. Yes. Agreed. Yes.
Okay. Well, best of luck. And if it happens, let us know.
Yeah, I'll give you guys a call back. Thank you.
That'd be great. Okay. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye. Hello, good evening. You are through to Tough Talk Tuesday. My name is Kellie-Jay. You can say who you are. You don't have to. What would you like to say?
Hi, my name's Christian, calling from Brighton.
Hi, Christian.
First thing I wanted to say is how much respect that I have for you. I think you're an incredibly brave woman, and it's really inspirational to see you as a leader in the field. And also that, I mean, I put this as a comment on your on one of your videos before. It's just, I think this is part of a much wider insidious agenda, as in, well, for one point, if the state can convince a child that something is archetypal, as biological sex is not real, then they have complete mind control of that child pretty much forever. Because how can you reverse that sort of thinking when a child's view of the world is so warped, and they will take that as a truth from the authority figure, whatever the state may be.
Yeah.
I just think it truly worries me. And also, being a little bit woo properly out there, I really do think there is a connection between genderless psychological programming, and I think it's anyone who can't see that there is a strong push for this psychological programming, especially among the young.
Yeah.
Really do think there's a connection between that. I think there's a connection between that and genetically modified food, and I also think there's a connection between certain injectables that may have an effect on someone's DNA. I just think those things combined together with what we know about what the World Economic Forum and the United Nations, where they want us to go, and it's all documented, it's very clearly out there. I just think in a few generations' time, we're going to find that people have been kind of chemically and psychologically lobotomized. There'll be little more than robots, and this was explained in Aldous Huxley's Brave New World.
Yeah. But what troubles me, right, and I think there's enough evidence for so many conspiracy theories to be true that we can piece together so much that we'd have to believe that there were some powerful people that really were playing the world like a game of Risk, right? But what you also have is you had the Dutch farmers. So you had there's no mind control that went behind suddenly everybody deciding Canadian working class truckers were sort of far right Nazis. I think all you need in order to control a population is a heavy dose of fear and a lot of pretend kindness. and supposedly sort of safety and comfort. And that's like a trick of old. So whilst you could be totally right that what is the genetically modified food is either purposefully or inadvertently having a long-term impact on us, and that certain different medical advances or not, necessary or not, may have a big impact on us. I also think that just simple human behavior is inevitably going to be hideously affected by mass lies. So that the lie, like you said, if you can get adults to repeat the words "women have penises," you all bets are off as to what they actually can do and think. And we had lockdowns, and it doesn't really matter whether you think what you think about COVID, and I can't talk about any of that on this channel because that is the one thing that they will swoop in and strike straight away. But let's say there are different views about COVID. It doesn't even matter whether you believe it's real or not, or whatever you think about the vaccines or whatever. What we do know is with very little evidence, like people couldn't actually see the evidence. I'm not saying it wasn't there, but people couldn't actually see the evidence. And they did things like they didn't visit their elderly mothers who died alone because they were told not to. Now, I just don't, for me, I think that is really, that's sinister as hell and very, very frightening. That just from something that, at that time, I didn't know anyone. Well, I had it really early on, actually, and I had it, and I lost my sense of taste and smell for about 6 months. And I had that before anybody knew that was a symptom of COVID. So I'm just saying that at that time, we were told that it was really, really dangerous, and it might well have been, but I don't think many people I knew genuinely saw firsthand experience of that. And yet everybody was happy to lock themselves away and come out every Thursday and clap. And so I think that in itself, irrespective of whether or not it's true and really was necessary, because I don't even think that's the important element of this. We know that with enough fear, you can make people do anything.
I 100% agree with everything you're saying, and also a really important point I think about all this is we're all going to have different nuances of opinion. Some people like me kind of go really into it. Other people won't, and that's not really important considering the challenge that we're facing. The important thing is that we agree that this cannot continue, and as long as we kind of can agree to disagree and focus on the important things, that's all that matters to me anyway.
Well, for me, right, if it probably in a different space where I couldn't get kicked off of YouTube, I would explore your ideas a lot further because I think they're very interesting, and I think that every idea deserves the right to be aired and explored and discussed, and I love it. And it's my most happy place to have a really good kind of meaty, get to the root of stuff discussion. And I think it's all to your credit and mine. I'll just say that we can do that and part as friends. And I'm staunchly pro-choice, and I had a discussion with someone the other day who's pro-life. And at the end of it, I still thought he was a really nice man, and he thought I was a really nice woman. But it's very unusual, and yeah, keep it up. But well, if you're in Brighton, I guess I'll have to see you the next time I go down there.
Please do. I'll email you.
Yes, please do. Really nice to talk to you.
You too. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Bye-bye.
Cheers. Bye.
Well, it's been very male heavy this evening, hasn't it? Yeah, I have to say, when it came to all of that stuff, I can't say I was a particularly compliant citizen at all, because it's ridiculous. Hello, good evening. My name is Kellie-Jay. You're through to TERF Talk Tuesday. You can say who you are. You don't have to. What would you like to say? Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi, is this the TERF Talk Tuesday?
It is. Good evening. Good afternoon, good morning. Where are you?
I'm phoning from New York. I'm a proud lesbian, and I love the work you're doing. One thing I am concerned about, though, is I've heard rumors about Proud Boys showing up at your event.
Yeah. And what about it?
Well, I just want to know if you like condone them showing up, or if you believe it's more important to have alliances with them than other women. Because I know that as a lesbian, a lot of people in New York are very fucking scared of them.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
And why would that be?
The Proud Boys?
Yeah, specifically them.
The Proud Boys are like very fucking far right.
Are they? On what basis? I'm just wondering what evidence you have, because it's intriguing to listen to you speak.
Well, I suppose for a start, their role in the insurrection, January 6th.
And what's an insurrection? Just so we're both on the same page.
On January 6th, there was a large protest where a bunch of far-right people stormed the U.S. Capitol.
Did they?
And I myself am a masculine lesbian, and that's part of why
you? How masculine are you? How masculine are you?
I'm a very proud butch dyke.
Okay.
That's why I don't like
Sheila
this whole
Jeffries?
gender thing, because I like being a masculine woman, and people are saying that I have to be a man when, no, I'm a masculine woman, and I'm okay with that.
So, what do you think of Sheila Jeffries?
Who?
Sheila Jeffries.
Who is that?
Well, she would be the second wave radical feminist and lesbian who talks about butch identities.
I need to look into her. I know more about Janice Raymond than her.
What do you think about Janice Raymond's books?
I think she was brilliant. She's predicting all of the things that we're doing today. Because these stars, they're coming into women's spaces, and she was predicting that, 50 years ago? And she also said the best way to fight them would be to get doctors and detransitioners to speak out. And that's what we've been doing.
Right. Are you a detransitioner?
No.
No.
I have some friends who are, but I myself have always been fine just being a butch masculine lesbian.
It's really weird that you say butch and masculine, because most people would just say butch. Why do you qualify it with masculine?
Well, I qualify it with masculine because they say that because I'm a masculine woman, I'm supposed to say that I'm a trans man. But I take pride in being a woman who happens to be masculine, and that's okay. And I think this whole gender thing is fucking with everybody's head.
Yeah. Do you often get mistaken for being a man?
Sometimes. More depends on my choices of jackets.
Okay. And not on the phone? Maybe on the phone?
Sometimes as well. That's the worst thing about it all.
Yeah.
It's funny. A few times I've been on the phone and someone, I said I was a woman, and they said, wait, so are you a trans woman or what? I'm confused. And they're even making masculine women like something of theirs. It's fucking terrible.
It's really interesting, because I would say that I'm quite good at spotting stuff, and I would say that there's not too much female in your voice. I mean, you probably get that a lot. So going back
part of that was a PCOS. So I've got a bit more testosterone in my system, and my voice is a bit deeper.
You think women with PCOS have deeper voices? Are you for real?
No.
You think women with polycystic ovaries have deeper voices?
I've had 3 friends who have PCOS, and 2 of them have had deeper voices, and they said that because the testosterone is in their system.
Are you familiar with Neighbours? The program Neighbours? There's a program, Australian Neighbours. You should look up Madge Bishop. That's a woman with a really, really deep voice. But
I will, thank you.
Yeah. And
I love
as for
being proud
Pride
to be a
Boys,
woman with a deep voice.
Okay. And when it comes to the Pride Boys coming to my events, which events do you think they attended?
The Proud Boys?
Yeah.
Well, I was telling a friend about you and how I was proud that people were actually taking a stand for women. But then they said that and sent me a tweet saying that at one of your events, the Proud Boy who was at January 6th had been spotted. So I wanted to check with you if you knew about that and if you could speak out against them.
No, I
Because
won't
I
speak out
think
against
that
anyone.
feminists in the US are ready to come on side, but because it's been portrayed as such a right-wing issue, then they're too scared to publicly like
Why,
side
are
with
they
it.
stupid?
But it,
The feminists in the US? Do you think they're particularly stupid?
sometimes.
Mm. Do you think they would listen to one of your friends say that a Pride Boy turned up and was in a public space? Do you think that's a
Did
bad
one?
thing?
Proud Boys?
Yeah. Do you think Pride Boys or ex Pride Boys? Do you think some of those people are allowed out in public?
I do think that they should be allowed out in public, but
Right.
it's another thing when you see Proud Boys showing up at drag story hours. I think we should protest them, but the idea that they're there, that scares me.
No.
It's our alliances with them that worry me.
You're going to, I'll tell you what, I'm going to balance sexualizing children against grown men protesting it. And I'm not going to be on the side of those people sexualizing kids. I'm sure as a woman, you wouldn't either.
No, it's for me just a matter of practicality. If we show up with Proud Boys, people are going to
Who's
think
showing
that
up
we're
with
far
Pride
the right,
Boys?
and we're not just feminists.
Who cares if people are on the right? What does that matter?
Well, I think that within the US, the feminists could do a lot to fight back if they were able to get on side.
Yeah. Which feminists are you familiar with in the US? Who do you admire?
Well, most of my friends. I'm in a feminist organization.
Which one? Which one?
I don't want to speak to that too publicly because I've heard people getting tracked down by trolls by giving too much about themselves online.
Yeah.
But
feminist organizations just have women in them, don't they?
On,
That's good. Feminist organizations just have women in them, generally.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you wouldn't have any men in the feminist organization that you just made up. Sorry, that you just talked about.
No.
Right.
No.
Okay. Well, it's been an absolute joy, probably more so for us than you realize. But thank you so much for calling.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
I'm a big fan.
Yeah, I'm
Love
sure
your work.
you are. Bye-bye.
And keep fighting the good fight and standing for women. Thank you.
Oh, people. You can never tell. Ever. Never, ever. Butch masculine lesbian, actually. VF555. All those famous feminists in that group that he was in. Amazing. Endless joy. He's she was a butch masculine, manly, butchly masculine, butchly lesbian.
I might get on the phone.
You might get on the phone. You might not. You just don't know. Good evening. You are through to TERF Talk Tuesday. My name is Kellie-Jay. You can say who you are. You don't have to. What would you like to say?
Well, that surprised me because I'm looking at the TV and I can hear something else.
Sorry, it's me.
Right.
Hi.
Just a quick thing.
Yes.
I've got PCOS.
Right.
And I have a deeper voice. But I love you guys. What you do is fantastic. Everybody got a big shout out in the chat. It's Spike here.
Hi, Spike.
Yeah. And yeah, just wanted to say thanks very much. Keep it on. I wasn't too sure about the last before or not last before.
You did look. I've got my voice has dropped about an octave in the last year. In fact, I'm going for some tests to find out exactly why, because it's all to do with my vocal cords and the position of my neck, right? So my voice has dropped. But I, like you, have still got a female voice. Nobody's listening to me and thinking about the pitch of my voice.
Yeah.
The same with you.
I was just and I worked on my phones quite a bit in the past. And occasionally I've been taken for a fella, but I'm also I've got boyish good looks. So, I've been chatted up by gay guys, by trannies, by everyone under the sun.
All right, boastful. That's a bit boastful for a phone-in.
I've had
humble brag.
I've had my times. But I just wanted to say, what you're doing, the people in the chat, Yeah, they do. They uplift me. We have a good laugh online with people, and it builds a community. I can't get out and about much.
Right.
I'm fairly housebound, had quite a party life.
Really?
But we do stones, and we sort of like give them out to the kids that agree with us. The kids that don't agree with us, we tend not to talk about it too, and they're happy to ignore us on that. Yeah, it's kind of like we've got a large family. Myself, my partner have 7 kids. The youngest is like 32. The eldest is like 43 or something. So we're kind of like, some of them are full on side one way, some of them are full on side the other way. And we've got grandchildren. So it's very, I'm just got to say, hi, VF55. I see you. Sorry about that. But what all you women do, you, Kelly, at the top, fantastic. But the people that support you, the people that are with you, they're the ones that also tell me, you've got it right, kid. All right?
Yeah. It's
Thanks,
lovely,
right.
isn't it? It's such a lovely, warm, little glowy place. The sort of sidebar chat.
It's not just warm and glowy. It's got fight to it. It's not be kind, be nice and all that crap. It's actually got a fight in it.
Well, good. It's my milkshake, Spiky.
All right. Well, I'll let someone else call in.
Thank
Thanks
you
a lot
so
to
much.
everybody. Love you all. Power to you. All
Cheers.
of you. Cheers.
Bye. Oh, how lovely was that? We are good, aren't we? We are good. That did really make me laugh. That call. Yes, and hello to Spiky. I thought she was going to tell me off then about my polycystic ovary comments, because anyway, look, I'm going to make that the last call now that we are at 9:30. I think it's been fun. This evening. I totally enjoyed myself. We had the butchest, masculinist, manly, masculine, blokey McBloke, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid lesbian call. I think he was out of his tiny little testiculated brain. Don't you? Anyway, it was fun. It's a light moment. It was very man heavy this evening. Should have made them all call last. Anyway, look, I love doing this TERF talk. I will see you tomorrow morning at 9:00 UK time. So for you Aussies and New Zealanders, right now it's 9:30. So I will see you in 11 and a half hours time. It has been utter joy this evening. Thank you all so very much. If we listen to each other and we laugh in the faces of these silly pornified men, then I promise we will win. If we can keep the good fight in the sidebar, ladies, then I promise we will win. If we can be the billboard with dictionary definitions, I might organise something for Saturday. Then I promise we will win. And you know why else we're going to win? Basically, because I never lose.